Good morning from winter in Western Australia. I'll take these off because it's a bit rude. End of August 2026. Just a bit of a loose end before I take my car into the garage for a repair. I thought I'd come and walk along the beach for a bit. No point in going home and sitting around and then having to go out again. While I'm out, I thought I'd come and do a bit of a monologue. So I was in the UK recently on holiday visiting family and friends, which went quite well. I had a bit of a nightmare coming home, and again I don't know if that was me being cognitive impaired or just unlucky, but I had tried to book flights on my own, but I was getting a bit confused with the dates and times of connections going from Perth, Australia to Aberdeen in Scotland. You can't go through the Middle East at the moment because of the conflict, so there was a few options. The option that I went for was via Tokyo, so on the way I had 2 days in Tokyo, which was great. And then when I got to London, the flight that connected didn't get me into Aberdeen until quite late in the night, 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, which I thought was a bit too late. So I opted for a night in Heathrow, which worked quite well, and then a morning flight up to Aberdeen. So I got to Aberdeen at 7, 8, 9 o'clock, 9:30 on the Sunday morning. Hired the car, had 2 weeks in North East Scotland with family and friends, which was great. And then on the way back, I thought it was going to be simple. I wasn't having any stopovers. I wasn't planning any stopovers. So I got to Aberdeen with the intention of checking my bags in all the way through to Perth, because I was with British Airways to London and then Cathay Pacific again via Hong Kong back to Perth. And with Cathay and BA being part of One World Alliance, I expected my bags to be able to be checked in all the way through, but unfortunately British Airways wouldn't do that or couldn't do that. So I had to pick my bags up in Heathrow Terminal 5 and take them myself to Terminal 3 and recheck everything in, which shouldn't be too much of a deal because I had two hours in Heathrow to kill anyway. So I thought that would be doable. I couldn't check in online for the Cathay Pacific flight for some reason. I thought, well, it's okay, I need to drop my bag anyway because British Airways couldn't do it. So I arrived in Terminal 5 okay, but the bags took over an hour to come off, more like 90 minutes actually before they came off. So by the time I'd picked my bag up and got to Terminal 3, I was too late to check in for the flight. So effectively I'd missed the flight from London to Hong Kong, and then obviously couldn't make the flight from Hong Kong to Perth. So I phoned Flight Centre, who had booked the tickets through. They couldn't do anything until the next day. So I resigned myself to have another night in London at Heathrow Airport. So I went and booked the same hotel I'd stayed in on the way through. Stayed there on the night on the way back, and was on the phone to Flight Centre to try and get something. They wanted $6,000 to get me out the next day on a business class flight from London to Hong Kong and then Hong Kong to Perth. But I didn't want to spend $6,000. So I left it with them and was going to check in the next day. While I was waiting, I checked in myself for various options, and there was a Qantas flight which takes you direct from London to Hong Kong. So I decided to go for that, and it worked in really well. It was 13 and a half hours on the plane, but it passed quite quickly by the time you have a couple of meals and watch a couple of movies. But again, I'm pretty disappointed that it didn't work out as planned. But whether that's me as a stroke survivor having cognitive issues, I still have big issues with planning, scheduling, timing, and I guess that reflects in today. I've got my car booked in for assessment because I knocked the front of the car, and that's not until 12:30, but it's now 11 o'clock. I'm going to get down there, if I leave now I'm going to get down there way too early, so there's really no point. So I thought, well, I'll have a walk along the beach, kill half an hour and record this. So that's what I'm doing, but that's kind of update on where I am. Had a good trip to the UK. I don't think flying after a stroke should really cause any problems, apart from things like I had with planning, scheduling and timing. I managed to get myself to Hong Kong, out of Hong Kong, around Hong Kong for a couple of days and back albeit with that issue with the bags coming off. I'm never ever flying British Airways again. They've let me down so many times, and they don't take any responsibility. I'm still fighting with them and my credit card company and Flight Centre to try and get some compensation, but I don't think I'm going to get any. But never ever flying British Airways again. When I went back previously, it was with Qatar via Doha, and then I flew into Manchester because I wanted to avoid Heathrow. So I went from Perth to Doha, Doha to Manchester, and then Manchester to Aberdeen with Loganair. And my bags checked in all the way through and all the way back. I thought, well, Loganair are a pretty small regional kind of airline from Scotland. I thought, surely if they can do it, British Airways can do it, but for some reason they couldn't. So never ever going British Airways again. So there we go. Don't be scared to fly after stroke. It is doable. You just need to make sure you get your timings and get to the gates and stuff and check in on time. I had the Cathay Pacific app to try and do an online check-in, but as I say, it wouldn't let me. I was struggling with data signal anyway, so I think that might have been the issue. But I was trying to check in a bit later than maybe the online check-in had closed before I was trying it. I thought, well, I physically need to go and dump my bags anyway. I'll just do it all together. But in hindsight, that was a bit maybe ambitious or a bit optimistic. But there we go, I managed it, and I'm back in sunny Western Australia, and glad to be back. It was nice being, I guess, home. It's called Scotland home still, after being here 16 years, but it was nice being back, seeing my brothers, my mum, my friends. But it's nice being back in the winter sunshine. It was really nice weather in the UK when I was there, but and it was pretty miserable here because it was winter time here. But now we're getting to the end of winter. The beach is looking okay. There's a bit of seaweed going about, but few people out for a walk. Some people even in the water, which I think might be a bit chilly. Certainly not going to go in the water today or any time in the next few weeks, but it's nice to come down for a walk, get some sunshine, get a bit of fresh air, and talk to you guys. Anyway, thanks for watching. Any questions, let me know. Thank you, bye bye.